it's Thursday, and today we are going to be making a little dumpling dragon that you might remember from the crystal video a couple of weeks ago. Now, when you last saw him, he looked a little bit like this. So this is just an update on him, I suppose. He's still very sparkly. He doesn't shed nearly as much as he used to. He's dried completely out, but yeah, this is basically what we're making today. But that's the crusty version. And this is the unencrusted version, though the wings are a little low on this one. We're going to move them up a little bit for today. Hello! Let's get into tools and materials. Okay, so to make our little dragon today, you're going to need 8-ply 100% acrylic yarn in 3 colours. You're going to need a main body colour, a colour for his belly, and a colour for inside his mouth. I would also encourage you to have just a scrap amount of white available to you to add some details to the eyes. You're also going to need a pair of 9mm safety eyes, a 3.5mm hook, scissors, pins and needles, and some stuffing. And I have recently started encouraging you to keep a stitch marker or a bobby pin handy just to help you mark the ends of rows and keep you on track. But that's it. A written version of today's pattern will be made available to my patrons and will also be available on Etsy, and I will leave links to both in the description down below for anybody who's interested. You may have noticed that we are batch filming videos today. You're going to be seeing a lot of this shirt over a couple of weeks. So to start with today, we're going to make the main body piece, and we actually start inside the mouth and work down to the tip of the tail, and that will all make sense as it starts coming together. So we're going to start in our pink, or whatever colour you have chosen for inside your dragon's mouth. This is just a quick reminder that this is a complicated knots pattern, which means that I will be skipping over and assuming that you know a lot of the easy stuff, but we will be walking through some of the more complicated techniques together. All right, so starting in our pink, we're going to work a magic ring of 6. We're then going to work 6 increases around to bring our row up to 12. Then row 3 is 6 repeats of a single crochet and an increase, like so. So that's our first one. We're going to repeat that 5 more times around to bring our round up to 18 stitches in total. And we are going to change to yellow in the final stitch of the row. Okay, so that's 5 repeats so far. So then we have our single crochet and we have the last increase of the round, which we're going to use to change to our yellow. So this is our main body color that we're swapping to. And this is the only color change in the whole pattern. So all we do to work a color change as part of an increase is I'm going to work the first stitch of my increase. And then for the second stitch of the increase, I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop so that I have 2 loops of my pink on my hook, hold the pink out of the way, grab a strand of the colour I'm changing to, and I'm going to pinch that on the inside of the work at the base of the stitch. Then just yarn over, pull through both of the loops on my hook, and give the tails a tug to scooch the stitch down into position, leaving us with a completed single crochet / increase in this case in our pink, but our yellow is now on our hook, ready to go. And to lock that in place, I am just going to tie the 2 ends in a cute little double knot on the inside of the work, and trim the pink off. And that's it for the pink. See? Ripping through it in record time. So now, continuing on in our yellow, this piece gets a little bit more complicated. So in row 4, we are going to start by working 12 front post single crochet. So when we normally work single crochet, we are working through the loops at the top of the stitch. When we're working post single crochet, we are instead working around the post of the stitch, and we're going to be working front post, which means we insert our hook from the front of the work, round the post, back to the front of the work. So that is the hook position for this first stitch. If you're not sure which post to work around first, because we have this one here as well, or this one, all I do is insert my hook into the next set of loops the way I would normally work them, and then turn the work on its side and use that to help me find the first post, which would fall in front of where I currently have my hook inserted. Hopefully with the visuals that explanation makes some sense. So anyway, 12 front post single crochet. 2, 3, 10, 11 and 12. So what you can see there is that gives us this really beautiful crispy edge between our two colors. And if you've worked these correctly, if you look at the back of the work, you should see you've got some pink loops in the mix that we're not going to use, but they are physically there. And our stitches are sort of attached sideways onto them. So then to finish the row, we're going to go back to working through the loops of the stitches, and we're going to work 6 single crochet back to the start. Now, if you can't tell where that first stitch goes, count pink stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's where our first single crochet goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there we are at the end of row 4. Now I have some misgivings about the next row, but I do think it is structurally necessary to make the mouth sit correctly, so hopefully you'll forgive me. So we've just worked front post single crochet in row 4, where we insert our hook from the front of the piece back to the front of the piece. For back post single crochet, we're working them from the other side, from the back of the work, around the post, back to the back of the work, and then worked like a regular single crochet. So we're going to work 12 of those around, basically one around each of the front post single crochet. $11 and 12. And then it is once again 6 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. At this point, I would like you to stop and count and make sure that you definitely have 18 stitches in your round, because basically anytime we do rows where we're combining regular single crochet with any kind of post stitching, it is the #1 spot where I see people gain and lose stitches. So if we stop and check now, you might save yourself a little bit of frogging heartache later. This is what mine currently looks like. So we have a defined front of the mouth, because that will form the front lip. So there's a back lip. So that will form the bottom lip. And then we have this sort of smoother edge, which will slope back into the body. Row 6 is just 18 single crochet around. Just going back to working through the loops like normal. 1, 2, 3, 15, 16, 17, and 18. In row 7, we're going to start pulling in the lip while also still growing out the body. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this row. We have 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Then we're going to work 3 single crochet 3 togethers. Now, a single crochet 3 together is a decrease worked over 3 stitches, and there are 2 ways you can work them. There is the standard way, where you just insert your hook into a stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then do the same thing in the next 2 stitches until you've got like a loop up through the next 3 stitches of your work. You've got 4 loops on your hook, you yarn over and you pull through all 4. And that is a standard single crochet 3 together. I personally prefer to do them the invisible way. You might have noticed that I do my decreases the invisible way as well, which is where I just pick up the front loops only of the next 3 stitches. I yarn over and I pull up a loop through all 3 of them, and then I yarn over and finish off my stitch. And it sits just a little bit flatter, but honestly, either method is perfectly fine for today's pattern. So as our first one, we're going to do 2 more of those. 2 and 3. See how instantly that has pulled in that chin? We're then going to work a single crochet and then 3 repeats of a single crochet and an increase. So that's 1 single crochet and increase. That's 2 single crochet and increase. And that's 3. So there we are at the end of row 7, and we should have just 15 stitches in our round. Now, if I said row 7 was complicated, I hadn't yet introduced you to row 8. So row 8 is the best and the worst of this pattern, because in row 8 we are going to be building some little wings into the back. Even though it might seem early, it does actually make sense once we do it. So we're going to start really, really easily. We've got a single crochet, an increase, a single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. Two repeats of a single crochet, an increase, and then a single crochet. That's our first repeat. We're going to do that again. Single crochet, increase, and then a single crochet. Okay, we are now going to be building our first little wing. So how we do that is we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to turn, and working in the second chain from our hook, we're going to work a slip stitch, then a picot, which is just in this case when you chain 3 and slip stitch into the first of the chains. So there's a little picot, slip stitch into the next chain down of our foundation, picot again, and slip stitch into the final chain of our little wing foundation. So there is our little wing all formed. We're going to work 2 single crochet along the body, 1 and 2, and then we're going to build a second wing, and we do the exact same thing again. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, turn, slip stitch into the first, picot, slip stitch into the second, picot, and slip stitch into the third. There is our second little wibbly wobbly wing. Careful, he can fly away now. Then going back to working into the stitches of our round, we should have 3 stitches remaining, and into them we're going to work a single crochet, an increase, and a single crochet. Now, please note that the number at the end of this row says 21, and that is referring to the number of stitches in our round, not the number of stitches that we've worked in total. It's basically ignoring these wings because they are not actually adding stitches to our round. They're kind of just a little decoration that's been added. So if we included like the chains, the picots, and the slip stitches in the row total, it would be higher than 21, but 21 is the useful number for you to know at this stage. So with that done, the next row is just 21 single crochet around. And while that seems easy, I'm going to like hold your hand for it just because the wings are in the way. So we're going to start by working 15 of those. 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, and 15. So you can see that brings us around to where the first wing is anchored in there. And I'm going to like fold it up, but I want it so that like the spiky bits face like the outside of the body. So we don't want it folded this way with the spikies folding like facing in. We want to just give it a little twist as we fold it forwards. And that way when we're working behind it, it'll help lock its orientation in place a little better because we do want them facing outwards like we've got them here. So folding that up out in the way, we're going to work 2 single crochet, 1 behind it, and then another one along. See how the twist is staying in place? We have our second little wing here, and it's already kind of naturally facing the right way. I'm going to fold that up out the way with, again, the pointies facing outwards. And we're going to work 1 behind it, just into the next stitch of the row, and then 3 more back to the start of our round, which should bring you to 21 in total. You see there, your wings are now locked into position and they should be facing outwards. So row 10 is then just 21 single crochet around again. 1, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20, and 21. The rest of this particular piece is a lot easier. So row 11 is 3 repeats of 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, an increase, and then 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3. So there is our first one. We're going to do that 2 more times around to bring our row up to 24 stitches. So row 12 starts with 19 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 17, 18, 19. And the next stitch of your row should fall pretty evenly between those wings. And we're going to work 5 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to show you where your tail is going to sit, and you want it centered between those two wings. If yours is sliding off one side or the other, this is the row you adjust that in. So you just make sure that you've worked 5 single crochet all into the same stitch in a nice centered way. And when you're happy with that, finish the row by working 4 single crochet. And if yours is lined up like mine, that'll get you back to the start of your round. 2, 3, and 4. And if you've had to make any kind of adjustment, working just 4 single crochet at the end of the row, regardless of where your original row start position was, will bring you back into line with the pattern, and you'll be able to just continue the rows as written from this point forwards. So that is the row we are adjusting for drift in. Row 13, we're going to start by working 21 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 19, 20, 21. Then 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And 6 single crochet back to our starting point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So your row at this point should have 30 stitches in it. In row 14, we're going to start with 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then another decrease. And 16 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, and 16. Row 15 starts with 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Then 3 repeats of a decrease and 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. So there's our first one. We're going to do that 2 more times. Decrease, 2 single crochet. That's 2. Decrease, and 2 single crochet. And that's 3. We then have 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to work the monstrosity of a stitch that is a single crochet 5 together. So we've already done single crochet 3 togethers, which is a decrease over 3 stitches, and a single crochet 5 together is a decrease over 5 stitches. And again, you can do it the standard way or the invisible way. And I'm going to just work this the invisible way. 3, 4, 5, pull up my loop, and finish my stitch. And then it should be just 4 single crochet back to the start of our round. 2, 3, and 4, leaving us with 21 stitches. Now you could choose to stuff at this point. I am going to work just 1 more row to close the opening off a little bit more. Row 16 starts with 7 decreases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then a single crochet, a single crochet 3 together, a single crochet, and then a decrease to finish the row. Now that leaves us with just 11 stitches in our round, and now we're going to stop and stuff. I want you to grab your stuffing and tear it up into little cotton ball size puffs. Tearing your stuffing up, particularly if you're using stuffing from a pillow or like a cushion as opposed to like polyfill, can help decrease the instances of misshapen lumps. And it forces you to stuff a little slower, which we all benefit from. It's like the amigurumi equivalent of chewing your food. And then we're just going to stuff 1 little puff at a time making sure we fill out all of these nice little details that we've made. Try not to overstuff the head. You don't want the top of this to dome out too much. We want it to sit fairly flat, but you can sneak a little bit of stuffing into the chin there. Get the tip of the tail. Until you have just one round stuffed little dumpling of a dragon base. And we're going to work the final row. So row 17, we're going to work 4 decreases. 1, 2, 3, 4, a single crochet, and then a decrease. So that should leave you with 6 stitches in your round, and we're going to finish off. Now, we have a little bit of an opening left at the bottom. We're going to take our remaining tail and pull it through the front loops only of the 6 remaining stitches, and pull it tight to close like a little drawstring bag. Just tuck that end away inside. Okay, and there is our body piece. So pop that to one side for now. We have many other pieces to make. Okay, so we're going to make the head next, and I'm going to be making the head in the same color I make the body in. And we're once again going to start with a magic ring of 6. In row 2, we're going to work a single crochet, an increase, and then 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In row 3, we're going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 repeats of a single crochet, and then 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. 2, 3. So there's our first one. We're going to do that again. Single crochet, 3 single crochet, all in the same stitch. And our row should be up to 11 at this point. Now the rest of this piece is worked up in a fairly recognizable sequence, starting with 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 repeats of some single crochet with 3 single crochet into the same stitch in there to help form the cheeks. So for row 4, that takes the form of 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet. So there is our first one, and then it's 2 repeats, so we'll do it again. 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then a single crochet back to the start of our round, leaving us with 15 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and work row 5 and row 6 now. Leaving you with 23 stitches in your round, and it's going to look like a weird little pointy triangle shape thing. In fact, if you made the blobfish from last week, it kind of looks like a mini blobfish. In row 7, we start with 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to work 2 repeats of 3 single crochet, a decrease, and then 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 1, 3 single crochet, a decrease, and then 4 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's the end of our second repeat. And in row 8, we're going to do 3 repeats of 2 single crochet. 1, 2, a decrease, and then 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. That's our first repeat, and we're going to do that again. 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, a decrease, and then 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then the last one, 2 single crochet, a decrease, and then 3 single crochet back to the start of our round. 1, 2, and 3. And we do have one more row to work after this, but we're going to stop at this point and pop in our safety eyes. So for our goofy little guys today, our safety eyes are going to go into row 5. So counting backwards from our starting magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to plonk them loosely in on either side of the head. It's already pretty good. And they should have roughly 4 stitches visible between them, but basically with this as the starting position, you can then feel free to like move them around slowly and carefully until you are happy with how your dragon is looking. And I think that's where I'm going to put mine today. Let's snap these backs on. Let's see if I can get a popping sound for you. Sometimes I can clear them up in post and make them a little poppier. I don't tend to hear them in the room, but I'll hold out hope for you guys. Ready? Oh, that actually sounded pretty good. Hey! Ha! Okay, if I could actually hear them, you are definitely going to be able to hear them. Excellent. He is just looking like a baby blobfish at the moment. Maybe it's just that I'm filming them back to back. Okay, and we're going to work our final row, which is just 6 repeats of a single crochet and then a decrease. That's 1. We're going to do that 5 more times around to bring our row down to 12 stitches. Like so, and we're going to finish off. Now I'm not stuffing this piece and we're not weaving the tail around to close it either. Instead, we're just going to like flatten it. Your finishing off point should be like just curving over the edge of one of the corners. And when we sew it on, we'll flatten this little bit between the head as well to form 2 little eye ridges. So there is our little head. Except of course he has, this is his lip. Okay, popping both those pieces to one side. Next up, we are going to make the little belly. So we're going to swap to our accent color, just as a little bit of a break from all of the bright yellow. We're going to work with a slightly lemony yellow. And the belly is the simplest piece of all, starting with just a magic ring of 6. Then 6 increases around to bring you up to 12. And the final row is just 6 repeats of a single crochet and an increase to bring our belly up to 18 stitches around. Just like that, simple little piece, and finish off. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and the time has come. We have to start making hands and feet, even if they are a little bit fiddly. Okay, so for the arms, we're going to start with a magic ring, like so. And into this magic ring, we're going to work a whole bunch of stuff to form the little claws. So we're going to start with 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, then a picot. So it's the same way we worked them for the wings. And a single crochet back into the magic ring, another picot, and single crochet into the magic ring, and a final picot, and a final single crochet into the magic ring. So that's what we currently look like. We have 3 picot claws and 5 single crochet worked into the magic ring. We're going to pull that ring tight. And the next row is just 5 single crochet around, but you kind of have to like pick your way around the claws. So we have 2 single crochet before the first claw, 1 and 2. The next single crochet is between the first 2 claws. And we just want to make sure that that claw is popped out to the outside of the work and that we're working our single crochet behind the claw. Then the next single crochet around is between the second 2 claws. Once again, pop that claw to the front. Make sure you're working the single crochet behind it. And the final single crochet of our round is after this 3rd and final claw. Pop it to the front. Work the single crochet behind it. So your round should consist of 5 single crochet and your 3 claws should all be poking onto the outside of the work. You can see those 5 stitches behind there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're now going to work 4 more rows of 5 single crochet around for a combined total of 20 stitches. There we go, and finish off. So we're not stuffing this piece, but I'm going to just tuck the tail down inside. And there is our little hand. And we are, of course, going to need 2 of those because he's happy and he knows it. You gonna focus for me, buddy? So he has to be able to clap his hands. Clap, clap. So pop those to one side. And finally, we need to make the feet of greatness. And the feet are just, I don't know if they're more complicated than they need to be, but you can be the judge of that. We're going to start with a magic ring of 6. We are then going to work 3 increases. Let's move you closer to the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So 1, 2, and then we're going to build little toe claws. So that is 3 repeats of a picot. And then a single crochet into the next stitch around. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So far so good regarding the little flipper. Hopefully we are staying focused. This next row is a little bit tricky. In row 3, we start by just working 6 single crochet around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, bringing us up to the base of that first toe. And then what we're going to do is work a single crochet 3 together using the single crochets we worked just after each of these picots, which can be very, very fiddly to do. So I advise you right now, if you're doing invisible decreases like I normally do, abandon that here. We're all working standard decreases. And it's a standard single crochet 3 together. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop, insert my hook into the second single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop, and insert my hook into the third single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now, unfortunately, all of the toes are currently on the inside of the work, so we need to like finagle them all so that they are on the outside. They will not enjoy this process. They will fight you every step of the way. When your toes are now on the outside of the work, you can do the final yarn over and pull through all of the loops to finish the stitch, and then just as you tighten that stitch down, make sure that it's falling behind the toes, give them a little pinch to pull them out properly, and that's what we should currently look like. Rawr. So row 4 is simply 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, then a decrease, and 3 single crochet back to the start of our round, leaving you with 6 stitches in your round, and then we're going to work just 2 rows of 6 single crochet for a combined total of 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, and 12. And finish off. Once again, we're not stuffing, but I am tucking the tail down inside. So yeah, I decided not to do the treble crochet toes that I normally do on little guys like this, just to stick with, we did picots for all of the other little details, and so I wanted to give picot toes, they're pitots, if you will, a go this time. So yeah, with that one little fiendish foot, we actually need a second little fiendish foot, and I have that one here. So we have our little feet. And with that, we have all of our pieces made, and we just need to do a tiny bit of assembly to pull our little dude together. So we're going to start with the belly piece. We're just going to pin that over the front of the body, like so. Now I'm going to thread my needle, just some of my body colour. I'm going to be using it for my entire assembly, so it doesn't matter if I use it for the belly as well. It might be slightly visible, but it'll all just add to the effect, I think. And I'm going to sew that on using the front loops to space my stitches, securing each one down to the body. There we go. So one little belly piece attached. And the rest of all of this pretty much gets pinned on in one big lot. So if you're worried about sewing the head to the body and closing off the back of it at the same time, you can take a second right now and sew this just shut in a line. I'm going to do mine all as one step. We're just going to position that over the top of the pink circle, and I'm going to pin it down on either side where I want the opening of the mouth to start is a good place to pin that. And then attaching the back of it. And as we sew, we are going to take our time to sew down the top of it flat as well, which creates these two little eyebrow ridges. And it just looks a little bit better than giving him a domed head like I accidentally did with the purple one. Just the top of the head is supposed to be down flat. Like that. There we go. So that is where the face will go. And you can have him a little bit more closed mouth, a little bit more open mouth. It's entirely up to you and the angle you want your dragon to sit on. So there we go. I'm going to sew the face on now. Okay, so that's the whole external perimeter sewn down. And now I'm just going to come back up here and anchor the top of the head down. Just using little stitches. To encourage those two little eyebrow ridges. Excellent. Now this is entirely optional. I did mention having a scrap of white available to you, and we are just going to use that now to add a couple of little details to the eyes. Just because I think it ups the cuteness a little bit. Not that this guy really needs it, but let's maximize on his natural assets, shall we? So we're just working a little bit of white as the outer edge of the eye. There we go. Hopefully some of that was caught on camera for you, but we've just added some two little details to the eyes. And now we're just going to grab the arms and legs. The positioning is pretty basic. We kind of want the arms so that they're roughly level with the wings, and I like to have the hands tucked like neatly against the belly. So there. And for the feet, you kind of want to place the base of him down on a flat surface and then line the feet up so that they are level with the ground and sticking out just a little bit past the belly. And that is going to give you a little bit more stability than this guy has, because I've accidentally tucked this guy's legs too far back, which is why he falls forward all the time. You'll note that Crystal Boy doesn't. Crystal Boy is extremely stable. And I am aiming for that level of stability with this little dumpling fella today. That's much more stable. So sit him down, tuck the leg up to him, and pin in place. Making sure he can sit, and he can. Perfect. And we're just going to sew all of those limbs on now. So yeah, those are our finished dumpling dragons. He was almost branded as a T-Rex, but I decided to give him some little wings instead and just like lean into the cute little baby dragon aesthetic. I'm so much happier with the wing position. He was almost a T-Rex, but I think Dumpling Dragon suits him better with his little flappy little wings. So yeah, I hope you had fun making him with me today. Okay, bye! If you want a crusty one, leave it in crystal formula for like 4 weeks.